So let's discuss now with Hugh Hewitt, the host of radio's Hugh Hewitt Show. Good evening, Hugh. Doing okay?
Hi, Don.
Yeah.
I am. It's a grim night, but I'm glad to be with you.
Both Donald Trump and Ted Cruz came out strong against the Brussels attacks. Let's listen to them.
Well, I would say that the eggheads that came up with this international law should turn on their television and watch CNN right now, because I'm looking at scenes on CNN right now as I'm speaking to you that are absolutely atrocious. And I would be willing to bet, when I'm seeing all the bodies laying all over the floor, including young, beautiful children laying dead on the floor, I would say if they watch that, maybe, just maybe, they'll approve waterboarding and other things.
All right. And here's Ted Cruz, Hugh.
It's an example where Democrats are more concerned about political correctness than they are about keeping us safe, and that's why people are so fed up. We need a commander-in-chief whose priority is keeping the American people safe, and that's what I'll do.
So what is the line here between national security and discrimination?
Well, there's a front-page New York Times story today, Don, on what Brussels did not do over the last 20 years, which was attempt to integrate neighborhoods that became unto themselves hotbeds of jihadism, to which the 400 Belgians who've gone off to fight with ISIS, 117 of which have come back that they know about, have repaired and have hidden and have nested. And so what I think Senator Cruz is speaking to is a proactive policy to prevent that from happening. But I'll say the other clip you didn't play is of Hillary today, and I think I've got a saying now, every liberal really seems so sad. That stands for Egypt, that stands for Libya, that stands for the reset button, that stands for Syria, that stands for the status of forces agreement that she blew, and mostly, of course, it stands for the server on which she compromised national security. So every time the discussion turns to terrorism, Ted Cruz goes up. I'm not sure about Donald Trump. The Fox News poll has him falling. But Ted Cruz is serious about this stuff. He's been saying the same stuff, and the political correct approach of Hillary Clinton today is not going to cut it against the backdrop of her abysmal record fighting terror.
But even Bill Bratton, John Miller, who are, I mean, of course, experts on security, experts on terrorism. I mean, they head up New York City. They both disagree with Ted Cruz.
Well, you know, I would send everyone to read Lawrence Wright's The Looming Tower, Joby Warwick's Black Flags, which is on the rise of ISIS, and Mike Morrell, the former deputy director of the CIA's The Great War of Our Time. I don't know what the commissioner is talking about. He is an expert on domestic policing. But the volcano that is ISIS and the ideology that gave rise to it that comes out of Wahhabism, which then got nested in al-Qaeda and then spread out and metastasized through ISIS and now into Libya because of Hillary's failure, has got a very specific nesting ground in Brussels, in Molenbeek and other neighborhoods. And I'd send your readers to the New York Times. This is not right-wing conservatism. This is the New York Times detailing the neighborhoods, which are no-go neighborhoods, especially in Belgium, but also in France and in England. Can't have those develop in the United States. Luckily, they haven't developed in the United States.
That whole
yet.
idea about no-go neighborhoods, though, when we covered Paris and we talked about that, was overblown, if not a reality at all.
Well, then you've got an argument with the New York Times, Don, not with me. It's actually detailed at length today in the New York Times that the no-go zones are real. The brothers were living there, the two that are dead, the third who is on the run, who is the bomber, is on the dead, or the third person with the shopping cart. Molenbeek is a no-go zone, according to the New York Times. Now, if you want to come on this network and call the New York Times biased, conservative, right-wing, that's okay.
I'm not calling them anything. I'm talking about the reporting for CNN and from our experts here. It has been, anyways. But let's move on.
In Brussels, it is a problem. Brussels and Belgium is the single biggest problem of no-go zones in Europe. Less so than Paris, but very definitely in Brussels. And that's where the returning jihadists are going to. And I think that Ted Cruz speaks to that every day he will go up. And I think the more that Donald Trump addresses it, maybe more calmly. I mean, you don't have to go to waterboarding. You have to go to intelligence gathering.
The question
stuff like that
we have been talking about is integrating neighborhoods, and that's what Commissioner Bratton is talking about. That's what our other guests were talking about, the experts that we've had on. The problem, to a large extent, is the integration of neighborhoods, and perhaps if there are anything that resembles a no-go zone, maybe that is the problem.
Well, here's how I look at it. I'm a right-to-life Catholic. if I found a right-to-life Catholic who I thought was verging towards violence, my first call would be to the authorities to say, this person is crazy, you've got to do something about it. Muslim American communities are overwhelmingly patriotic. There are many thousands of Muslim Americans who have served in the uniform or serving in the uniform right now. They are loyal, patriotic Americans, and I think we can rely upon them. I also think that Ted Cruz is right to encourage them in every way possible, to give them the support that they need, and to make sure that they feel safe if they approach the police, that their name won't end up blasted across jihadist websites, as happens, for example, in Gaza, where people are summarily executed on suspicion of cooperating with the Israeli authorities or even with the Palestinian Authority. These are real problems, Don. We have to attack them really and get ahead of the Brussels problem.
Hugh,
we'll have a Belgium on our hands.
No matter who ends up in the White House in January, do you think that the way Americans view immigration has been forever changed by these recent attacks?
No, no. In fact, I had a person on the radio show tonight who is running an effort to bring especially the Christian refugees who are suffering from genocide. John Kerry declared it a genocide against Iraqi Christians last week. I will applaud the Secretary of State for doing so. There are ways to vet people who are fleeing genocide, the Yazidis, the Christians, Shia who are fleeing Sunni killers in ISIS, and indeed there are places that they can be appropriately resettled. I don't think it changes it forever, but I do think caution is the order of the day, and that Ted Cruz and Donald Trump are talking caution. Hillary Clinton's talking nonsense.
Thank you very much, Hugh Hewitt.